Hi, I'm David Dowdy. I own Action Coach Lake Norman, your local business training and education firm, as well as a coaching firm here in the Lake Norman area. And looking forward to hearing from Tamara Ellestad today. She owns Velo, and I am thrilled to have you on the Business Spotlight interview series today, Tamara. So, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Velo?
Awesome. Thanks, David. I'm so happy to be here. So I own Velocity Consulting Services, also known as Velo. And we are an engineering and trade staffing firm in high tech. What that means is we build facilities, clean rooms, manufacturing plants, and fabs in the high tech industry, whether that be for semiconductors, microelectronics, electronic vehicle parts, chargers, control boards, etc. And then we also provide the engineering and trade talent that work in those types of facilities within high tech.
Interesting. So it's not just the talent acquisition, you set up the facilities as well. Is that right?
Yes, so we actually are a big part of our business is constructing those facilities. Yes.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
So how many years have you been at it now?
Velocity was launched in April 2020.
Okay.
So 4 years now.
4 years now. So right in
Yes.
the midst of COVID. Had
Yep.
to be
It was great.
yes. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yep. I was told I was crazy a few times, but I went with it anyway.
uh, I'm sure. I'm sure. So okay, so let's go back 4 years. If you had it to do all over again, maybe take COVID out of the picture, but just what you've
Right.
learned from a business perspective, if you had to do it all over again, what might you do different?
Honestly, I don't think that I would do too much different. I launched the company alone. Just because of the fact that I read a lot of when you start a business with a partner, a lot more goes awry than when you started by yourself. So I'm not necessarily sure I would actually do anything different, to be honest with you. If I'm being, yeah, if I'm being completely frank with you, I don't think
Man,
I would do anything different. Yeah.
fantastic. Nailed it coming right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Very
Lucky.
good. So then things have gone pretty well. What were some of the key learnings along the way?
Well, some of the learnings is running running a business for someone else, not really understanding the ins and outs of what it takes to run a company. You have to learn that pretty quick. I was always an executive for a larger staffing firm, and it was a lot different when you only had to wear one executive hat. When you start your own company, all of a sudden you're trying on all these hats, operations, marketing, the business side, the financial side. So you have to learn pretty quick the ins and outs of not only the operations of the company, but the financial aspect of it as well. So there was a lot of learning curves. And I'm so happy that I went through that though. I'm not sure that a lot of business owners really understand the ins and outs of every aspect of their business. So,
Mhm.
being the sole owner and really, launching every division on my own, really allowed me to understand each version, each operational part of the business, which I certainly think that is attributed to the success of the organization. It's just really understanding it from an owner perspective.
So, so out of all the different hats that you get to wear now, what's your
Hmm.
favorite
Production.
product?
Um, Honestly, I am a recruiter at heart. I have always been very driven by, closing deals, finding candidates jobs. So I am the happiest at work when I actually get to produce. Hands down, that's my favorite part of part of the business.
Okay,
Yeah.
then you know what question's coming next. What's your least favorite part? Which is the least favorite hat to wear as a business
Uh,
owner for you?
you know, um, Probably anything that has to do with accounting. I recently have partnered up with a fantastic local CPA firm that really took a lot of that on. But I would have to say I don't really enjoy numbers. Never have. Math wasn't my strong suit. So really, just that part. I would say the accounting part of it was something that I still don't get very thrilled about it. I like to see the numbers grow. That part I
Oh,
love,
sure.
but the ins and outs of accounting, yeah, I don't really like to do that or care about it, but it's essential. So
Yeah.
have to work through it.
It
Yep.
may not surprise you. That's the case for most business owners. They want to get out there and produce and
Right.
be a part of the
Yeah.
action. They don't want to
Yep.
look at reports. They don't want to crunch numbers.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
most business owners have type A personalities. The last thing that we want to do is sit behind and look at we don't want to look at reports. We don't
That's-
want to go through all of that. We want to be out there wheeling and dealing, and it's when we're at the happiest. So
yeah. Yeah. We'll
mhm.
get to that other stuff later, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Okay. So being in business on your own, not that you're on your own now, but going through that and going into business on your own, a lot of times there are some misconceptions about what it's like to be a business owner.
Hmm.
So, wondering what some of those misconceptions might have been for you, what you've kind of learned, and how you work through those at this point.
Um, well, some business owners really do make it seem like it's easy. And maybe it is for some business owners, but the fact of it is you have a decision to make as a business owner, right? You have a decision to, or somebody that works for an organization. Um, there's going to be stresses no matter what you do, right? There's going to be
Mhm.
stresses working for someone, answering to someone. If the company isn't doing well and producing to where they want it to be, you have to answer to that, right? Being the business owner, you really are taking all of that in, and you really find yourself. I'm the only one to blame at the end of the day if this isn't working. And what do I need to change or shift um, because it's not working? You really need to identify those, and you need to have the ability to set something else in motion that is going to fix the problems, right? So I really think that it's not easy. It is a challenge, and you really have to be up for the challenge. It's easier to quit on someone else than to quit on yourself. Um, and you just can't. You have to keep going and keep going back to the reason why you decided to launch your own business in the first place. And I think that that's probably what's helped me as a business owner, is really just realizing I don't ever want to work for somebody else again. I've been there, done that. I don't want to do it again. So I got to keep going. And I have to. It's trial and error constantly, living and learning. So it's not easy. Some people make it sound easy, but it's not. You have your challenges for sure. You just got to
And
take them head on.
my experience over 10 years working with business owners like this is
Yeah.
it's not easy for anybody. They can
Right.
put on the facade but everybody's got their weak spots or
Right.
their blind spots, the things they really don't want to look at.
Right.
But it
Exactly.
sure sounds
Mhm.
good and looks good on the outside. So
Right.
thank you.
100%.
Thank you for sharing that. So
Hmm.
4 years now, what do you attribute some of your growth to and the successes?
Probably number one is passion. One of my favorite quotes that Steve Jobs always said is, "If you love what you do, you won't work a day in your life." I hold true to that. So really staying passionate about it and hiring the right people from the jump, or at least identifying extremely fast who's not a right fit for the organization. I think that a lot of companies, spend a lot and waste a lot of money on bad hires. And that's detrimental, I think, to the success of an organization. Is you really have to you have to have the right people on board. And I think that when you have the right people that you don't have to manage, people that understand the end goal, and in my particular business, I've always preached to my production staff that this is a business within your own business, right? So if you have the passion like I have, and you want to grow your business within this business, you're going to be extremely successful. But as soon as somebody doesn't enjoy what they're doing, if they're looking at the clock and it's 3 o'clock and they're saying, "Oh man, I have 2 more hours of this left," or your mind says, "Oh, it's 3 o'clock and I have so much more to do. I don't have enough time in the day," and you can't wait to get to work tomorrow to finish it up. That's when you have to realize, am I doing what is best for me? Is this something I really want to do? So I think that the growth of the company is, again, having the right people on board from the jump.
That's great. Let's take a minute to talk a little bit more about the employees. And
Uh-huh.
so in your recruiting and hiring and interviewing, and then you touched on a little bit,
Right.
um, but if you don't mind going a little deeper in, what are some things specifically you might be looking for? Some questions you like to ask that can help other people select the right people for their teams.
Well, you don't the last thing that you want to do as a business owner is you don't want to babysit adults. Right.
Right.
If when especially in staffing and in a production based environment, um, micromanagement, it shouldn't be a thing within an organization. If you find yourself micromanaging people, you have the wrong people on board, period. And I think that that's my opinion. But I think that when your time is spent, hey, how many calls did you make today? How many meetings did you set up today? Or what did you do today? And you have to have like a play by play. That's not worth your time. It really isn't. It's not worth your time, and it's not worth, the employee's time. I think that when employees can manage themselves, right? If when they're managing themselves and they set their personal goals first and what type of financial goals they need to achieve to, achieve their personal goals, those are the types of people that you want to really have on board. And I think, and I constantly, when I'm speaking with my employees, it's kind of like, okay, what do you want to do in the short term? Oh, well, I want to hike Denali. Okay, well, what are you going to do to achieve that? How are we going to get there? What are your finance? This is how much. Have you looked into how much it's going to cost to climb Denali? How to get there? Set that aside. This is how many hires that you need to make, and this is what you need to do in commissions, and to set aside, and you're going to be able to achieve that goal in 9 months, right? So I think just making sure and doing what you can to get the folks that have that entrepreneurial spirit as well, right? And have that passion. That's going to be, I think, the best bet for any type of business owner is making sure that you don't have to hire people that you have to manage constantly. Because I tell you what, the last thing I want to do, and I'm a mom, the last thing I want to do is babysit while I'm at work too. I don't have to. We're all adults. You shouldn't have to babysit your employees. If they don't want to do it, they're not going to ever want to do it. So you need to identify that quick and you know help them move along.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Great. So you mentioned you're a mom. So this whole
Yes.
idea of work-life balance, is
Yep.
there balance? What are the challenges that you've experienced? So how do you keep things in check? Because both are very demanding, being a mom
Hmm.
and your business and the needs and your employees and your customers and clients. How do you keep that
Yeah.
in check for yourself?
Well, for myself, I've always worked from home, since when I had children. And I was very blessed with the fact that, I had to get a nanny, because even though when you work from home, right, you still can't just be, super mom the entire time when you have to meet your goals as a producer as well. Um, but I think it is so important, to work smart, especially if you have, and when you have a family. You really do. You need to have the ability to be adaptable to different types of schedules. Um, I think that if you never want to miss out, and you never want to teach, especially your children. You don't want to teach your children that work comes first. family always comes first, right? But I think what the difference is trying to really navigate and helping your family understand, hey, listen, these are all the luxuries that we get to do because mom works hard, right? So mom's gonna have to mom stepped away from work to come and pick you up so you don't have to ride the bus, to come and take you to practice, et cetera, et cetera. So after dinner, mom has to get back on the phone for a couple of hours to wrap a few things up and really have that open line of communication with your family of saying, hey, listen, I stepped away to do these things for you. Now what I need you to do for me is I need you to go do your homework. You need to go do whatever you need to do for the next hour and a half so I can wrap up some things that I didn't get to do at the end of my day today. And also spending that quality time, with for yourself too. I mean, I wouldn't be able to be the business owner that I am if I didn't allow myself the time to work out every day. To even like if I feeling a little tired, go take your power nap. Go take a nice walk, just get outside, play with your dogs. Statistically proven, is having a pet near you, whether you can bring your pet to your office or you can, have a pet somewhere around you, statistically proven. People actually have lower stress levels when they have a furry friend around. So I try to have my golden retrievers with me as much as I can, or one of my cats in the room. But really, I know for me is if I keep my health in check, if I eat well, sleep well, make sure I'm taking care of my family, taking care of my health. I'm a better boss. I'm a better business owner. I'm a better mom, et cetera. So I think
That's
that
great. That's great wisdom there. And has it always been that way, or have you learned that the the quality of your sleep, the amount of your sleep, your diet, has that shifted over time? Because most business owners that I come across,
Mhm.
and maybe watching and listening to this, have that mindset of just work longer, work more. You'll get ahead. You'll get ahead.
Right.
But that isn't always the case.
Um, I feel like I worked a lot harder when I worked for someone else versus when I started my own company. Um, and I think again, it's because the structure of where I worked was all wrong, where it required a lot more of my time, where I wasn't able to really focus on myself or on my family. And that was one of the reasons why I chose to go off on my own as well. It's like there has to be a better way, right? There has to be um, a company that values my time, my personal time, as much as they value me when I'm on the clock, so to speak. So that was something that I always tried to do, but I couldn't necessarily do it, because of the constraints of working for somebody else. So I encourage, my employees. I'm very, a lot of times I'll just say, hey, you know what, numbers are doing great this week. We're kicking butt, whatever. Why don't you guys kick out early? Go do what go do what you want. I'm actually on calls a lot saying, hey, did everybody get to do something for themselves today? Like go out for a walk, step away. Work's still going to be here when you get done. If you want to go and you want to take your kids to the park for an hour or two. I don't care. Take your fiance out to lunch. Take them out, kick out, go to a ball game or do something. But I like to say more life work balance, because if you're keeping your life in check and you're really doing what you can to live the best life possible, you know, you acknowledge that you need to work hard to make sure that you sustain that type of lifestyle.
Mhm.
So I think that taking care of of what you need to do to have a happy life first, um, your work is you're going to have to work, and you're going to identify that you're going to have to work as hard as you need to sustain that type of lifestyle.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Very good. All right.
Yeah.
So one of the last questions here is, what words of wisdom, I mean, for these other business owners that are out there that are they're fighting the fight or
Hmm.
coming out of the gates, with that entrepreneurial spirit?
Yeah.
What kind of parting comments would you have, words of wisdom for them?
Do it. Um,
Just do it.
no, there's more to it, but you need to surround yourself with people that are supporting you. There's always going to be the naysayers, no matter what you want to do, right? You always have those, you always have those people that don't want you to be successful. And as odd as that sounds, because a lot of times they're your friends, um, you really need to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people that have the same spirit that you do. I found that a lot with, going to or joining some networking groups, entrepreneur networking groups. The Chamber of Commerce has some excellent entrepreneur type network events and such. But really making sure that you are surrounding yourself with people that are supporting your mission. Okay. Honestly, making sure that you're not over trying to overachieve goals. Set them up for yourself that, achievable goals, that you can definitely, make it for yourself, and it's going to be easier. Okay, great. I got that goal. I'm going to scratch it off the list. Maybe it was easier or, more, more acceptable,
Yeah.
or achievable to kind of glom on. But I think that when you set up goals for yourself that you're going to be able to meet, it keeps your motivation going, right?
Right.
When you're setting your goals and your standards way too high and you're not able to meet those, that actually has, I think, an adverse effect. And you're like, oh man, I didn't meet that goal. And it kind of makes you go, it makes you down a little bit. So set your goals to goals that are going to keep you afloat, and
Hmm.
if you overshoot on those goals, great. I think that that's something that is really important, is making sure that you're not setting yourself up for um a failure's mindset.
Right. Right.
So I think that that's super important, is to making sure that you're just setting your goals to something that you can actually meet.
I like
Keep
that.
yourself motivated.
Being reasonable, force you to stretch a
100%.
little bit, learn a little
Yeah,
bit, grow.
right. Yep, you have to. And understand that, and also understand that you may not make, money right away. I do think that it's super important that you have some type of reserve. When I started Velo, I knew that from the money that I was going to use to start the company, I had 7 months to make it or break it. I gave myself 7 months. Okay, this is what I can do in 7 months. I'm gonna, change my lifestyle a little bit, modify
Mhm.
going out to dinner as much as I can, or doing
Yep.
stopping with DoorDash because I love to support my local businesses. But just really making sure that you have your game plan and a time you're giving yourself a time frame of when you actually do need to start seeing revenue come in, um, and really just holding on to that, right? So
Yes.
I gave myself 7 months. I actually didn't start seeing a profit until shortly after the 6 month mark, and I was kind of freaking out a little bit.
Woo!
And then all of a sudden, I kept going, and kept having positive thoughts. And, as they say, positive thinking breeds positive results, right? Well,
Yep.
it sure did. And it was a humbling experience, but man, I wouldn't have, done anything differently for sure.
That's awesome. 4 years later, here you are. So
Hey,
Tamara,
yeah, here.
if
Hi.
if somebody wanted to reach out to you or get in touch or learn more about Velo, what's the best way to do that?
Probably email, or just a call, I'm sure, you could put my information on, but
Hmm.
I am open for anybody to, have a call with and collaborate, or if they if they need staffing services themselves, happy to help them there, as well. But I'm open to any type of communication as well. And just if I can help anybody else, um, motivate them at all, or again, help them with staffing, I'm definitely open for that, especially in the Charlotte market. It's a great
Yeah,
market to be in. Mhm.
I appreciate that generous and abundance mindset to reach out and help others.
Mhm.
So Tamara Ellestad
Yes,
with Velo, thank you so much for being on the Business Spotlight interview
thank you.
series with us today, and thanks for sharing so much of your
Absolutely.
experience. Yeah,
Thank you so
great to
much,
see you.
David.